During lockdown, our daughter Trin has done loads of practice on her musical instruments. So much so that a couple of weeks ago we had to take her violin in to be repaired and get new strings. The weekend before last, when the violin came home, I decided to order some new music for Trin to reward her for all her efforts. There were two pieces I had a hunch that she would like to learn, even though they're technically very challenging. The opening music from Fiddler on the Roof and a tango. I didn't tell her I'd ordered them, but I wanted to surprise her when they arrived. A couple of days after I'd placed the order, Trin and I were talking in the kitchen. She said, "I've decided on the project that I want to take on over the summer. I would love to learn some really difficult violin music, and I thought maybe you could get me the music from Fiddler on the Roof, or perhaps a tango." I had to confess that I'd already ordered those pieces for her, and she was delighted. "Mum," she said, "we are just so in sync at the moment." Over the last few days, I've been thinking about that phrase, in sync. It keeps popping into my mind all the time. I know what Trin meant when she said it, as it's been happening quite a bit recently. We often find ourselves thinking about the same thing or wanting to watch the same film or listen to the same music. Lockdown has definitely brought us closer together and more in tune with each other. By and large, that's been true for the whole household. Although there was one morning a few days ago where for the first hour I knew that I was definitely out of sync with everyone else who was up. Fortunately, Graham and Robin went off to work and I went out for a walk just so that I could get my head in the right place again. I knew that the out of syncness was purely about me and was nobody else's fault, and I had to put myself in a place where I could deal with that, otherwise I knew that the whole day was going to feel terrible. We can be in sync with someone in our thoughts, attitudes and opinions. And this doesn't need to be a physical relationship. We can feel in sync with a particular author or songwriter or political party because they seem to express what we're thinking and feeling. This seems to be rather coincidental. But we can also be so close to someone that we find ourselves thinking about the same random things at the same moment. And we can be in sync physically too. Whenever Graham and I are out walking together, we quickly fall into step with one another. Our pace and rhythm of walking soon match, and that kind of regularity of motion quickly leads us into deep conversation or comfortably silent companionship. I've been thinking about this in relation to my spiritual life. What I want more than anything is to have that sensation of closeness that comes from feeling in sync with the Holy Spirit. I want my following of Jesus to make me gradually more and more in sync with him. I want to be thinking his thoughts and noticing the things he notices. I want to be as patient and loving in my dealings with others as he is. I want to fall into rhythm with him so that my footsteps match his and I can walk where he walks. I want to be drawn into a deeper and deeper conversation with him every day. I want the essence of who Jesus is, in other words, the Holy Spirit, to infiltrate every part of me to enable this closeness to grow. There's often a moment when you're with someone and you just click and you know that you've made a deep connection with them. You feel the beginnings of that in-syncness, and that makes you want to build on it and help the relationship to grow. You know you want to spend more time with that person. You want to have more opportunities to talk and to do things together. You think about them a lot. The good news is that Jesus has already made that connection with us. We just need to feel the click that energizes us and inspires us to spend time with him and think about him and build on that relationship day by day. I think one of the problems we face as churches is that we have fallen out of sync with the Holy Spirit. We've developed a kind of inner synchronicity that leads us to trust in our own routines and our ways of doing, and perpetuates an endless cycle of always doing the same things with very little effect. People within our churches are often not interested in growing spiritually, and people who are not part of church have no desire or motivation to join in with our fruitless and meaningless practices. We might feel that we're in sync with ourselves or the congregation we're part of, but we have to ask ourselves as churches, are we in sync with the Holy Spirit? I'm sad that the answer is often no. But it doesn't have to be like this. And I'm not willing to put up with it anymore. In this time away from our regular church routine, we need to be asking ourselves the difficult questions and looking at every aspect of our corporate life. Where is the Holy Spirit in this or that activity? What is our motivation? How does this or that part of the church's timetable enable us to grow as disciples or to share God's love with a wider group of people? On a personal level, I'm really grateful that I've had this opportunity to concentrate on deepening my own relationship with God. I feel more in sync spiritually than I ever have before, I think. And I'm praying for boldness as we go forwards, because I want to be able to challenge those times and places where I feel that the church is only in sync with itself and out of sync with the Holy Spirit. I'm telling you now so that you can hold me to this. If it comes to a choice between being in sync with the church or in sync with the Holy Spirit, I want to have the courage to choose the Holy Spirit every time. I want the Spirit to move through every fibre of my being. I want her to weave her work of love in and around me so that she becomes more and more part of me. I want to think what she wants me to think. I want to see what she wants me to see. I want my motives and inspiration to be hers. I want to do only those things that she's doing already. I want to walk with her. I want my life to be a constant conversation with her. I want to love her as much as she loves me. I know I'm not fully in sync with her just yet. There are still times when my thoughts and opinions are unkind and impatient and selfish. It will be the work of a lifetime. But from this moment on, I want whatever is left of this lifetime of mine to be spent in ever-deepening synchronicity with the Spirit. I know what it's felt like over the last few months to dwell more lingeringly in God without the pull of church drawing me away. And I certainly don't want to let that go.